So we have some massive breaking news that a majority of the Minneapolis City Council is declaring their intent to disband the Minneapolis Police Department. This is not a drill. This is something that's been announced. Now, we should be clear. This is a veto-proof majority, apparently, of the city council. So this is enough votes, at least in theory, to disband the police in Minneapolis. But they're simply announcing their intent at this stage. So it could still be the case that this doesn't get done. But the fact that this is even being considered is gargantuan. Days ago, let alone weeks or months ago, this would have been seen as an impossible demand from even the most left-wing people, even the most left-wing city councilors and congresspeople and senators. No one was seriously in their right mind thinking this was possible. And yet here we are. I didn't think it was possible, and I was wrong, and so was the majority of the left-wing commentariat. They are just steps away, potentially, from disbanding the police in Minneapolis. It's a sea change like I've never seen in my life. Basically, their argument is that the police don't keep their community safe, and that the police, if anything, make certain elements of the community feel more unsafe than if they just didn't exist or didn't exist in their current formulation. As the majority of city councilors note, here in Minneapolis and in cities across the United States, it is clear that our existing system of policing and public safety isn't working for so many of our neighbors. Our efforts at incremental reform have failed. So, everything's been tried. Body cams have been tried. All sorts of things, tinkering around the edges, have been tried, and none of them have worked. So, again, a veto-proof majority of a major American city council is saying, we are ready to explore disbanding the police. And we've never gotten so close to that happening. Again, there's a long way between this and actually seeing the police department disappear. There's a long way to go before that happens. Nonetheless, this is a major step. And you can see the disconnect because just last night, I made a video on this channel and it was going viral across the internet of Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey basically trying to put forward tinkering incremental solutions and the crowd basically booing him out of the event when he wouldn't make a clear commitment to merely defunding the police, let alone something more systematic. And so you can see that there is a large swath of the political movement in Minneapolis dedicated to making these changes. Look, we have to envision a different way to serve the community. We have to envision that the vast majority of policing work can be done by people that aren't police, that don't have the training and mindset and tools of police, but have the training and mindset of tools of public servants whose main job isn't about restraining people and their freedom. It's not about policing communities. It's about working with those communities to build better health, housing, education, childcare, anti-poverty, literacy, all these sorts of things build better outcomes. The police are not only neutral on that, they are a barrier to building better communities. In the vast majority of the United States, I know that's the same here in Canada, and I know that's very, very similar all over the world. And more to that, even where there is crime, the police actually don't always get the job done. In fact, you might say the police are really bad at solving crime. Not only does more police not solve the root cause of crime, which is often poverty, lack of opportunity, lack of hope, these sorts of things, it often exacerbates it, and they fail to actually bring investigations from the investigative stage to actually getting crimes solved. And so if you're paying tons of money for police, and they're not making communities safe, and they're not addressing root causes, and they're taking that money that could be spent on addressing those root causes, then why do we need the police? Or why do we need nearly the amount of police we need now? This is a new moment. We as a society have crossed the Rubicon. It might not end up happening that this police department gets disbanded. It might not. Nonetheless, the fact that a major American city has a majority of its city council ready to do so, ready to make that commitment to disband their police and replace it with more community-driven, positive solutions is something, guys, that I didn't know would be possible, maybe even in my lifetime. This is incredibly inspiring to see. But the lesson here is, don't let up. Because one, Minneapolis is just one city. Police stations all across the United States and the world need to be disbanded, or at the very least, heavily disfunded. And until that defunding and disbandment happens, the protests should continue in one form or another. The mistake right now in Minneapolis especially, but everywhere else too, would be to take this commitment and then de-escalate the protests. They should keep their foot on the pedal until that department is disbanded and not take it off the pedal even 1 second before that.